everyone, welcome to Topic 8. In Topic 8 we're going to be focused on the role of aggregate demand, aggregate supply analysis. When we look at aggregate demand, aggregate supply, you're going to be having a quiz over Topic 8. And when we look at that this week, we're going to focus on some key characteristics and what is the role of aggregate demand, aggregate supply in our economy. Aggregate demand is the total demand in our economy. It's looking at the GDP, and the GDP was focused on CIG net exports, whereas aggregate supply is the total supply in our economy. The key to this week is to look at the economy and the situations it's at, where it's in at that moment. The other things to look at is factors that shift the aggregate demand curve and factors that shift the aggregate supply curve. So there's some important facts that we can learn about GDP. The first facts are, if you look at this graph, you notice that economic fluctuations are irregular and unpredictable. It's very hard to predict the direction of these price movements and fluctuations that occur in our economy. Fact number 2, most macroeconomic quantities, they fluctuate together. So if you see the GDP is decreased, you also are going to notice investment might decrease, the consumer spending might decrease, consumer wealth will decrease. So those things really go hand in hand, but they fluctuate in the same type of pattern. Fact number 3, as output falls, unemployment rises, which means as more output or less output is being produced, we need less and less workers, so the unemployment will increase because of the less workers that are needed. But you'll notice there's these 3 important facts about GDP and the changes, and that'll help us really throughout our analysis. Now, when we look at this week, we're looking at the model of aggregate demand, aggregate supply. If you look at this graph, it's going to look like just like the supply and demand curve, which is very important to know. When we focus on the supply and demand curve, you notice that we're looking at the role of total demand, total supply in our economy, and the factors that are going to move these curves. But the economy's in equilibrium right here when we're at the total demand, total supply. The aggregate demand curve is downward sloping. It's downward sloping between price and output. The slope of the aggregate demand curve is based off of 3 factors: the wealth effect, interest rate effect, and the exchange rate effect. These 3 factors will illustrate why the aggregate demand curve is downward sloping. Now, some of the reasons why aggregate demand curve might shift: any changes in consumption, investment, government spending, or net exports. Any of those changes will influence the direction of aggregate demand, and that's very important to focus on. So let's look at some of the questions that you could see on your quiz for this week as potential questions. So with these questions that we're going to look at, you're going to look at aggregate demand, aggregate supply, and what is this analysis looking at? The mild period of falling incomes and rising unemployment. What part of the business cycle is that? Now, during recessions, 2 things occur with regard to employment levels, unemployment levels, and our income. Question 4, dealing with recessions, what 2 things will decrease? Question 5 deals with the definition of aggregate demand. Question 6 looks at consumer confidence and how a stock market boom will influence how consumers spend. Question 7 looks at the stock market boom and what will happen in the short run if aggregate demand will increase. Question 9 deals with pessimism. So the economy, there's a lot of pessimistic views around the economy, How will that influence aggregate demand and shifts that will be influenced? So those are some of the questions that you're going to see, that you could see. It's good things to evaluate. Make sure to focus your effort on studying in terms of really looking at the impact of aggregate demand, aggregate supply analysis. If you have any questions, please let me know, but I look forward to your effort.